our warriors do their job and go kick ISIS ass.
All right, welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. The Steve Malzberg Show live from our New York City studios. I love the new open to the show, by the way. I hope you do, too. I could watch it over and over. All right, we have a lot to get to. Ron Paul joins us momentarily to talk about the race, his son, and something he's very passionate about, our relationship with Iran. We'll talk to him about that. Sarah Palin supporting Trump. Hillary's numbers eroding. She's trailing Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire 60-33. And when it comes to which is the least honest candidate among the Democrats in New Hampshire, Hillary 55, Bernie Sanders 2. Donald Trump running away with it in New Hampshire in the latest poll. So we'll talk about all that. You could weigh in the next segment by calling 877-NEWSMAX, 877-639-7629. To Dr. Paul we go, but first let's watch this.
And so now we have a president that has traded hostages in exchange for prisoners who did commit a crime and were convicted after due process and a trial and everything of that sort. And what the president's now doing, not just with this, but what he did with the Castro brothers and what he did with Bergdahl, is he's put a price on the head of every American abroad. Our enemies now know that if you can capture an American, you can get something meaningful in exchange for it.
All right, joining us now, Dr. Rand Paul, retired long-term U.S. Congressman in the great state of Texas, former Republican candidate for President of the United States, and founder of the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity. Hello, Congressman.
Hello. Nice to be with you today, Steve.
Good to talk to you again. All right, so let me ask you, you wrote a piece at townhall.com when peace breaks out with Iran. I mean, I don't know when that's ever going to happen, but what did you make of the president's swap here, where not only did he let these prisoners go, as was described by Marco Rubio, but also had Interpol call off their hunt for 14 terrorist-like prisoners, among them, including those who blew up the Jewish center in Argentina that killed over 80 people. You think that's a fair trade, and is it advisable to trade?
Well, it's a fair question that you ask, and I don't have all the details, but I do know that just recently we released somebody who was arrested or captured when he was 14, had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda, never tried, never charged, and held there. That's the kind of thing, and tortured. People were tortured there. So I think the way we prosecute people is definitely wrong. At the same time, these releases and all, I think back about when I was in the Congress before, and that was after the Iranian hostages in '79, and Reagan came in and got them loose, but he also gave them weapons for hostages. He made a trade. So if you're going to criticize everything, you have to sort of, make it fair and balanced and say that, Reagan participated in this as well. I mean, we were into a lot of shenanigans then, and I think that we should, at least think about it in our terms. The most recent thing with the Navy officers of the Navy that was captured and taken in because they were in Iranian waters, I keep thinking, what if 10 Iranian young males were in a speedboat in American waters? You might not have ever heard about it. They might be in Guantanamo by now. So I think we need to at least try to be fair in our analysis. And yes, Obama is far from perfect, and I criticize him, but I still also like to see movement toward negotiations. I was in the military, when Kennedy, I know I wasn't in when Kennedy was in. I was very pleased when he called Khrushchev when we had a crisis.
All right, but what about Iran?
They were monsters.
But Congressman, what about Iran? I mean,
I think Iran is no worse. I think the Soviets and the Chinese were much worse when we negotiated. I mean, why don't we stand on our heads and start, bashing Nixon for ever talking to the Chinese? I'm delighted we've talked to the Chinese. I'm delighted we trade with the Chinese because when I was in high school, one of my teachers was drafted, sent into that stupid war, and was killed. And it made no sense whatsoever. And the people that I knew, and I was in the military in the 60s, we did the same thing in Vietnam. So I think it's reasonable to be more cautious. And the idea that you can't ever say a word, they keep saying, oh, this is a bad deal. The United States gave them $150 billion. Well, we didn't give them $150. We returned to them $150 that was confiscated from him under UN resolution.
They're the leading sponsor of terror around the world. They support Hezbollah. They wreaked havoc in Yemen. They're wreaking havoc in the Middle East as we speak. I mean, you can't approve of what they do.
Well, no, I don't, but I wouldn't call them the leading terrorists. I think when people die from drones, and a lot of innocent people died, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people have died as a consequence of our foreign policy of intervention.
So who's worse?
How many people have died since we declared war against Assad?
Congressman, who's worse? Are we worse than the Iranians, or are they the same?
Well, I'm not going to compare them because I think we're both wrong at different times, and I sort of like to think that the American position was sort of Jefferson's positions, peace and commerce and friendship with all nations, entangling alliances with none. Just stay out of that. We lose too much. We have too many innocent people dying, Americans and Islamists that did not commit a crime against us. Yes,
all right, Congressman,
yes, we are victimized now by that, and we live in great danger.
Congressman, I want to go to the presidential race. So what do you think of the Republican side? Of course, your son is a candidate.
Okay.
And what do you think of Sarah Palin's endorsement of Donald Trump?
I don't know whether I'm allowed to tell the truth constantly, but I got to thinking, I listened to it. Oh, it was interesting. Politics, everybody will think it's pretty neat, but she just doesn't overly impress me. And there was a time when I thought, she possibly could be a president of the United States, and I don't think she qualifies for that. I don't think Trump needed her, to tell you the truth. But it does help him build momentum. It certainly doesn't hurt him, and it probably hurts Cruz more than it really helps Trump.
What about your son?
Indirectly, that helps Trump, I guess.
What about your son's chances?
Well, I think he could. I think he may well surprise everybody because he has a good organization, and caucus states are different. That's where we always did well. But also remember, the coverage was tough to get. I was second in Iowa, and on the night of the reporting, they said, guess who's first? But guess who really showed up in third place? And of course, Jon Stewart mocked the whole thing because they totally excluded me in the reporting.
Right.
So that's part of the problem. And of course, he has a different position on civil liberties, the war on drugs, and Fox said, no way, we're not going to have you out there. We're going to find a way to exclude you. So they excluded one poll. So the system isn't really that fair. Actually, when we even got to the convention, they changed the rules. And the rules they changed now, it looks like it could help Trump. And they're in a tizzy now, the Republican Party, because they got to change the rules again, because we certainly don't want to help Trump.
Realistically,
but, it is a very unfair system.
Realistically,
the political system is very corrupt.
Realistically, is Trump going to be the nominee at this point?
Well, at this point, certainly is realistic, but if I had a limited sum of money that I thought, it's a sure bet, I probably wouldn't invest a whole lot. I think, 6 months ago, if I had said that maybe Hillary wouldn't be the candidate, everybody would have laughed. But now, I still think Hillary may well not be the candidate. And who knows what's going to happen. All this talk for this last year and a half, and there hasn't even been a vote cast. It's all been done by polling, which for the most part is generally rigged. They pick people, they boost them up. It's entertainment, and Trump really fitted into that quite well. It's entertainment that the major networks control and manipulate. So they're never going to take somebody who happens to take a position different from the military-industrial complex or be opposed to the drug war and a few things like that. No, they exclude us and exclude my son.
Congressman, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
All right.